Jared, back again. Much
Yeah.
appreciated, sir. I've seen you since we last did this about a little bit over a year ago now. I've seen you twice now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
It's been lovely to see you. I got a matchstick from you too.
yeah, that's right. Matches.
Matchstick book.
It,
I think that's a great business card.
yeah,
A book of matches. Everybody needs matches. What if you get stranded in your car in your wilderness and you keep warm? You know?
I'm there for you. You've come down to my neck of the woods, or up, I guess, rather, because you're still in San Diego, yeah.
I'm one of the few from San Diego.
One of the few hanging in there. I love San Diego. It's
Hanging in there. I feel like I am.
It's a great area.
Love it. It's got some good history. I was watching the Epically Later Chad Muska documentary the other day.
Yeah.
And like, it was so cool to hear him say, because he's such a Hollywood skater, which in an amazing way. That's what people describe him as, I feel. But it was really cool to hear from him, like, who's one of the penultimate skaters of our time, that in order to be a pro skater in the 90s, you had to live in San Diego.
Yeah.
Like, so as far as the skate culture scene goes, like, it's a very important, prominent place. But other than that, it's not really on the map for much other than good weather and surfing,
Yeah, it is
similar to Orange County.
Super important. And like, of course, I mean, fucking Tony Hawk, the most prolific skater of all time, Carlsbad.
Exactly. Exactly, dude.
Yeah, the San Diego roots within skateboarding is super deep, and Orange County. I've come to learn, like, a bunch of people were around Huntington Beach area and stuff. But yeah. But we're not here to talk about
Templeton.
Skating. Templeton. That's right.
We could though.
I did see him once on the pier. I had like a weird experience with it. I was hanging out with my buddy and we're like walking down in Huntington Beach, and I was like, oh, Ed Templeton always shoots down here. But I was like, oh, it'd be cool to see it one day, whatever. 5 minutes later, he's like on the pier shooting something. I was like, fucking Ed Templeton. That was like a weird. Yeah,
that's incredible.
He's really sick. But yeah, Jared, I've seen a couple times. I saw you perform your solo stuff, Jared Mattson, and then I saw Mattson too. Just great performances all around, man.
Thanks, Jacob.
Yeah. And the last time you were on here, I think you're still gearing up to release Peanut. You were in the process of like getting it done, getting it finalized.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a great album, man.
It's been born.
It's out. It's out right now. Yeah. When did you start writing that thing? How long did it kind of take to piece that together?
You know what? Pre-COVID, I had ideas flowing. 2 songs, Dry and Please Come Here, were originally going to be maybe Mattson 2 songs, but never ended up working in that way. We never really got together and fleshed them out and devoted time to it the way we normally do Mattson 2 music. So Jonathan still has writing credit and stuff on those songs, but I pretty much made them my own and made it for Jerry Mattson. So those 2 songs were maybe 4 years ago, so it's kind of been a long process. This album isn't always a concept. It's sometimes a collection of random compartmentalized work that you're just saving for something that feels right.
Right. Did they change form like significantly when you first initially wrote them for a Mattson 2, and then it ended up being what it was? Was there like a major difference between those 2 kinds of levels of where they were at?
Yeah, for sure. They weren't working as Mattson 2, and they just felt like demos. And the newer versions don't have Jonathan on them. He just, helped with the process. So he's on the credit, but it's there's like electronic drums on them and stuff too that I did. So yeah, it's way different. Because it's all me, just 100% me with Tony maybe on those 2. There's actually Tony Ferraro he plays in Tori Moa and Astronauts, etc.
Yeah, I heard he also played in Jared Mattson's band. I don't know if you know that though. That's a little bit like secretive.
Yes, yeah, alumni.
Yeah, he's a great bass player. He really is.
He is. I chose him because he's not only a great bass player, he understands music on a very intimate maestro level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's always good to have that guy in your corner. Somebody who knows. about
Yeah,
music heavily.
he's a classically trained genius
Wow. Yeah, and
with exceptional taste.
yeah, I mean, you if you folks go out and see Jared's band, I mean, you'll know like these guys are on it musically. They got some good deep dives within music. That's what you're gonna
Oh, thank
gather
you, man.
immediately.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Where did the album name Peanut come from? What when did that come into the mix of like, oh, we should name it this, or I should
That's
name it
my
this?
that's my niece's dog's name, who's the cutest little. I heard that it's a Woodle, a Wheaton Poodle mix, which is pretty burly, little, cute, tough, solid dog. Um, and so it's her dog. And then during COVID, my twin had another baby, and so I was just like, I kind of wanted actually to have a dog around during COVID, and I figured that they had their plate pretty full. So I'm like, hey, do you want me to watch Peanut for a while? Like, yeah, sure. What was going to be like a week turned into like 8 months. So I ended up feeling what it was like to actually fall in love with a dog. I've never was raised around dogs or anything. And so Peanut was a very important part of those 8 months. A very, very much love hate relationship, as any good one is.
I was gonna say, yeah, crucial. Like, did you feel like it was a strict deviation between like, all right, this is what I do with Mattson too, and this is my own thing?
I think there is a deviation. Otherwise, what's the point? And I wanted it to be separate. Otherwise, it's not. Otherwise it's just Mattson 2 again, which I want it to be something different. And I think the main way that I was able to achieve that is having vocals on all the songs. Like I wouldn't call the first and last songs really songs. They're more like an intro and an outro. The ambient kind of instrumental stuff. But all the rest of the tracks, the 7 other tracks on the record, were yeah. Um, there's vocals on every track, so that's a deviation. Um, Fans can expect to hear more vocals on the next record. And then the other deviation was that it was the first time that I was uh, really getting inspired and trying to like channel some reggae influence. So Mattson 2 never thought we would ever. I've always liked reggae, Jackie Me Too, Oswald, Bob Marley, UB40, The Clash even. I've always loved it, but I've never thought it could ever compute with what we were doing. And then for whatever reason during COVID, I just started like, I want to write a reggae song. And I wrote Burn Down Babylon. I was like, I want to write another reggae song. And then I readapted Please Come Here to fit kind of more of a dub thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's the deviation, I think.
Now, Burn Down Babylon. I remember hearing that live. I was like, dude, what is this song?
Oh,
It stuck
cool.
with me forever. And I remember that was one of the little snippets, like the earliest snippet for like the teaser for the album before anything came out. It was just the instrumental, like the intro to it. And
Yeah,
and I was asking you about it. And
cool.
I'm so stoked that it's out now. It's an amazing song. Where did the inspiration for that come from?
The musical inspiration came from the Clash, and like ironically, the Clash thing that I was hearing in my head wasn't one of their reggae numbers, but it was a song called "This Is England," and nothing about that song I think resonates with Babylon, but something about the vibe of that song just elicited me the desire to like go in the studio and just write a song. Like I was like, I love this song. I kind of want to make a song right now. So it wasn't like connected in a very close way. Um, so the Clash, and then like I started realizing that ever since Chaz from Toro, as people know, but if they don't, from Toro Yamaha, um, he pioneered like a bass tone that was very McCartney, and it's like to this day, like I think that he resurrected that thuddy kind of flatline retro bass tone and like modernized it. But I feel like ever since he's done that, every single kid in their bedroom and their mother are doing that bass sound now because it's so good. But he was him and he. I think Chaz was one of the first ones to re up that bass tone, which is amazing. But it sounds so good that everyone wanted to start doing it, you know? And so I'm like, I love that tone and it will always work in almost every music that I do, but I don't know if I want to repeat that, you know? I want to figure out something else. And then I was like, wait a second, listening to a lot of Clash records. Like that bass is very trebly and very direct and very upfront in the mix and very sharp. Whereas the Thuddy McCartney tone is very round and yeah, dark and thuddy.
Hidden, kind
Where
of.
yeah, and so the Paul Simon and Clash thing is like very punchy, very lead instrument sounding, and I'm like, okay, cool. So that was kind of the trajectory for the whole album. Is like, okay, the bass is going to be the leader now, not the guitar. And I actually originally intended on me playing bass in the band, kind of like Sting, but I eventually it was just too hard to sing and play those bass lines. It's actually impossible, I think.
Were you trying to incorporate some of that tone into the Mattson too when you were playing the double necked bass and guitar, or was it something that you like really leaned into during this project?
No. If you listen to Paradise Mattson too, it's that thuddy vibe, that flatline vibe. So it was a completely new thing for Jared Mattson only. But now it's kind of found its way in. Now it's kind of become our bass tone, I feel, so that we use.
Awesome. Did that kind of set the tone for you in a way? I mean, and in just like the ethos of this project, did that kind of help inform what you're trying to do with
Yeah,
this new project there?
it did. I not to get too under the hood for the non-music nerds, but the thing that bass is amazing at is directing all the harmony, and it's literally the dictator of what chord you're playing based on, you know, just one note. They can change the whole identity of this of these three notes that you're playing on guitar. So I realized that the bass that I realized that I wanted the bass to be the thing shaping all of the harmony. And then the guitar, I that's the reggae and the guitar vibe is the guitar is mainly like, you know, three notes at a time or less on the record. The bass is just leading the way. Like whereas a normal guitar player would play all five notes and a bass note included, I'm omitting the bass note and only doing the high part. So when you do that, the bass can go here. It doesn't have to just stay here. Like if you're just staying on this chord, the bass would have to stay here, right? So if you take the bass off and you only have the high chords, the bass can go do 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 do. It can move around while you're staying here. So that was kind of hopefully that makes sense. That's kind of the so it is leading, but it's not really. It's still not really acting like a guitar. I feel it's still
Gotcha.
very much a bass, but it has more freedom to mess with the harmonies and stuff.
Do you feel more free when you're on the guitar or on the bass? I mean, being a player of both and sometimes utilizing both on the same at the same time.
I don't think I feel very free. I think the more you learn about music, the more you play, the more you write, the more you get into a rut. Not a rut, but you get. I think once a musician starts getting their identity, they have to work really hard to break away from that and and be free. But I don't know, being comfortable with your sound is a form of freedom as well. So it's pretty relative. I feel pretty. I've never thought about if I feel free or not, to be honest.
Did it did it feel vastly different than than what you were doing when you started piecing all this together? That's like, oh, we're on another thing. Like this is not reminiscent of what I've been doing at all.
Yes, that's when it became. That's when you realize you no longer exist. You're something else. And I was like, well, damn, okay, this is not Mattson 2 at all, and there's no way this is ever going to be Mattson 2. My twin wants to develop more of his roster and become a like a booking agent, which he is right now, which is amazing. He books all my shows and 20 or plus more other acts for anniversary group. Um, and so I saw the writing on the wall of like not Mattson 2 will never come to an end, but it's like he wants to devote his life to that, and like I still want to play music and compose and have that I guess that is a freedom. I want to have the freedom to do that whenever and however I want. And so it was the perfect opportunity to be like, okay, this is a solo record now, because it was all drum machine that I had programmed, and then bass lines and whatever. These are the first. I realized less than halfway through that it was going to be a solo record, but in the early stages, I was like maybe viewing these as demos, you know,
Mhm.
to send to Jonathan and say like, no, I kind of like them how they are. I'm just going to keep them how they are.
Wow,
Yeah,
man, that's awesome. It's awesome.
cool. Thank you.
Did was instrumentation usually built up before lyrics came on, or vice versa, or even split of both?
Split of both. The weirdest thing when I think for this record, most of the lyrics came after the music. Um, yeah, it came all the songs on this record that came after the music. But on my latest batch of stuff that I made for this next record, um, the melodies were coming to me randomly, like while I was in the car, or even like in one case, a dream. So in that case, the melodies and the vocals came first. And then I record the melody. What's cool about that, when the vocals and the melody comes first, if you have to I don't want to sound like a jerk, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to know like where these notes fit into the grand scheme of things. Like when you're at least I need to know that. So say you hum a melody, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what chords I can use for this melody. I didn't come up with the chords yet, but I know what I can use based on theory and whatnot. So it's cool because you can mess with it. Because this note could be a part of any chord on the neck. One note could be anything in any chord. It's very relative and very open. Um, so coming up with the melody was an interesting process to kind of fit the chords in around that and get creative with that.
Do you think this new way of viewing writing music will make its way into how you make music in the future for Mattson too?
Yeah, it already has. If you listen to Bochico, that is like an extension of all the production that I have been doing in my own project, and I just applied kind of that production to Mattson too, with Jonathan on drums and stuff.
Did it feel like for you like this is a bit weird how it's coming together, or did it fit perfectly? Like it's coming from a new direction, but it's it's fit into what we need to do.
I don't really overthink it in that way. I more view it as like this is who I am at this point in time, so I'm not gonna deviate from that.
Whatever it is, it
Like,
is.
yeah, like this is what I know right now. This is what I've been doing. I'm gonna add a crumpled up piece of paper to the snare drum. So I'm gonna do that regardless if it's Mattson two or Jared. I don't I don't
Gotcha.
I don't I don't keep the crumpled up paper in a drawer.
You use it.
That can come out still. Yeah. Whistles, knocks on the desk next to the recorder. Yeah.
Did did different things help inspire Peanut and this in this new record that you're working on right now? Did different kind of areas of interest and just creativity come out through inspiration of different items for these two
Mm,
different songs incorporating the vocals?
yeah. Um I don't know. I started really reading up again on like medieval counterpoint, and I love the separation between the treble, the mid, and the bass. Like I love that separation and the identity that like classical music has and all that. Like they don't get in each other's way at all ever. Like the bass doesn't get in the high parts way, and the mid range doesn't get in the you know relatively speaking. So I like that separation. And my friend Farmer Dave, I don't know if you know him.
He was
Very
on the
great dude.
podcast, yeah.
Amazing.
Alumni.
Okay, I
Yeah.
got to check that podcast out because I love that
Dave
dude.
sure and listeners go check that out too. That was a good one. Yeah.
Incredible, and I
Yeah.
love that dude, and he's always been a huge inspiration. And he told me one time we were at this party, and he's like, "Dude, Prince, his Purple Rain record is like classical music. The way the way all the instruments don't get in each other's way, and the way they're orchestrated, and it feels like classical music." I'm like, he's right. And so that was a big inspiration for my for Peanut. Just this idea of letting the bass be the bass, the guitar be the guitar, or the high be the high and the mid be the mid, and not getting in each other's way. So it opens up a lot of space in the mix, and at times it gives you a certain sparseness that's like kind of lost these days. People are really gung ho about, you know, filling up as much space as they can. Another thing I was really in, it didn't, I don't think it had any musical effect, but I was reading a lot of Psychology Today, or like super into psychology and reading up on all that stuff. So maybe that helped the lyrics a little bit, like digging a little deeper on stuff.
Going back
So
to your roots in Irvine, sure, these kind of things.
maybe Irvine, maybe, yeah.
Were you immediately comfortable playing these songs live, or were you kind of a little bit, hesitant of how people were going to perceive it?
Oh, I think I wasn't really worried about what people would think, because I think hmm, that's an interesting thing, but it's like I feel like I'm the type of artist where if I'm very hard on myself. So if I like something that I've made, I think other people will like it. It sounds weird, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes
Like if it
if it goes through your own filter system.
yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds dumb. It's like saying I'm good, but it's like I think if I like it, then other people will like it. Because I'm actually like I can't I can't hang with everything. So it's like, you know,
You're
there's a
you're
pretty good filter.
you're your own worst critic. So if it gets past yourself, then like, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
very
So
good.
yeah, and then I was a little worried because about the sonic nature of everything, like the way it sounded live. Um, to this day, I've been listening back to like live performances, and like I've been very happy with the performance, but I wanted to start sounding more like the record, you know, like it wasn't sounding like the record. It sounded like three dudes who are playing cool music and really good at their instruments, and we were putting on a really fun experience, like as far as like improvisation and whatever. But it just wasn't um and it's no criticism or anything, it just wasn't capturing the sound of the record. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and i've have I have these solutions and these ideas to make it more in that realm, because I don't want it to just sound like a fusion of genres. I don't want it to just sound like a fusion of, you know, virtuosic playing. I want it to be more like the record, which is the record is like a nice concise thing where there's room to breathe and also just clear and succinct songwriting. I think every song is actually kind of a different genre. Um, I think so. So if you want to break it down, the first track is kind of like Japanese ambient music inspired by Hosono. The second track, Please Come Here, is kind of still city pop vibe, but dub, rooted in dub, and it has like Japanese vocals to kind of tie the knot on the whole city pop thing. And I wasn't going into it wanting to structure it in this way, but I just feel like in hindsight, I don't know. Each one kind of has a different vibe. Like the She Wanted to Leave, that's like a very 60s hippie folk vibe, you know, the Ween cover. I wanted to make that very, uh, hmm, very the band or something.
If the band covered a Ween song, yeah,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great cover, man. Yeah.
Thank you, dude.
Did you know that you wanted to kind of bring in another song that wasn't yours for your debut, or was it just something that kind of came along, like, oh, this would fit really well in this?
That was not intent. Yeah, that wasn't planned. I had almost all of the songs already written, and then I went back to that song and I just liked the version of it, and I sent it to my band that we were already playing together, Joe and Tony. And I'm like, dude, can you guys do some stuff over this? Maybe we could add it to the record. So that's the one record, that's the one joint on the record that has them on it,
Oh,
like a
okay,
live band type of thing.
awesome.
All the rest are, you know, drum machine. But
And
Um,
you on bass, right? It was you on guitar, you on bass, you on vocals, drum machine. That was the
right, but She Wanted to Leave, Tony's on bass.
sweet.
Yeah, that's the one track where Tony's on bass, and
Very
he
nice.
kills it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, how did you kind of bring Joe and Tony into the fold for like, hey, I let's tour this and try to get this going on the road.
Well, I met Joe in New Orleans while Mattson 2 was on tour with a Brain Story. Actually, that was a sick tour. They were opening, and Joe hit me up on Instagram on the Mattson 2 account, and he's like, "Hey, can you guys come? I own a record store. Can you come in and do a signing?" I was like, "No, we can't." Or a live in the studio thing. I'm like, "No, we can't because we didn't sell that many tickets, and we want people to come to that. We don't want them to come to a free, record
Gig.
store show, whatever." So it was like, "Yeah, cool." He's like, "Totally understand." I'm like, "Actually, dude, I was checking out your Instagram. Your music's awesome. Do you want to open?" And he's all, "Hell yeah!" So he brought him and his bass player, and he opened, and we hung out that night. And I was like, "Dude, do you have a place I could crash?" And he's, "Oh yeah, you could crash at my house." And then we just became really good friends. I stayed there for a few days, I think. And then, um, uh, yeah, when I was making this record, I was definitely like, it's weird. Maybe other musicians feel the same way, but the whole writing process is its own thing. But when you finish the song, you could kind of look at it and dissect a little bit and be like, oh, this is kind of like a Police vibe or something. I don't actually intentionally go into anything going like, I want to write a Police style song. It's kind of just like there's a shred of inspiration from some sound or some record that you like, and then you try and do your own thing with it, and then afterwards you're like, oh, this sounds like something else, or this sounds like what I planned or whatever. Um so anyways, with the drums, I knew that Jonathan wouldn't be drumming, and the electronic drums are pretty involved, and they had like a span of many different genres like reggae and rock and punk a little bit, and funk and jazz. So I'm like, I know the perfect drummer who would be able to play this, and it was Joe. Just after hearing him play one time, I knew that he'd be perfect for it. And just the good vibes we had, the good, personable, friendly vibes. And then so I sent him the music, and he listened to the whole record, and he's like, I'm in right away. So the music was important enough to him to want to do something with it. And so I really value his investment because he's invested a lot into it.
Yeah, it's definitely crucial.
Yeah. And Tony, he was just the master. Like I said, he's a maestro. He understands music on a very intimate level. He understands what the rhythm should be, what the chords should be, and what the bass should be, and what the lyrics should be. And he's a true composer, true songwriter. Like very so there's a very like cool thing in music, when someone knows nothing about music and they're able to write cool music. Like that's great. But there's also this other thing that happens where someone knows almost everything you possibly can about music. Those people also write amazing music, like David Axelrod and freaking and Tony, for example. So I just knew that he'd understand what I was doing on bass on a very philosophical level, and I'm just like, I just need you to learn these bass lines and just play these bass lines. And he's like, perfect. So
It's
if that makes sense, like
it's
he's not
it's
an actual bass player, but he like knows music so well that he knows what the bass should be doing, and he just
right.
does it.
He can just adapt.
Yeah,
He's yeah, flowing like that. That's awesome. By the way, real quick, Joe's record store in New Orleans. If the folks are around, No Pulp Records, great
yes,
selection of stuff. I went in there recently when I was down there. I was like, oh yeah, I knew that Joe from your group
that's awesome.
owned
You
it.
went down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. So if
Did
you're
you
in
get
the
to see
area,
him?
go. He wasn't there, but his store's awesome. It's like a cool old building, like everything is down there. Really,
It
really sick.
is
Good
hundreds of years
selection of
old.
stuff. Yeah,
Cool, man. Good plug. Yeah, yeah, definitely go to that shop. It's awesome.
yeah. And maybe Jared will be there for a signing, maybe not. I mean, who knows? We'll see
Yeah.
if the time permits. It's circumstantial though.
I will be there this time for it. He,
Do you remember the first time playing these songs live? Do you remember the very first Jared Mattson show?
I do. It was incredible. It was at the Rickshaw in San Francisco, and um, yeah, it was at the Rickshaw. I would need to check, but that's the show I remember the most. And Tanuki-chan actually played the show with me, and that was a sick night. And this other band called Clean Spill, and so it was a very mellow, cool night in SF, and not many people knew about my project. So those bands brought people out, and I was stoked on that.
Still just kind of in the chat. I was like, hey, here I am. All right, now here's the people who you came for. That's a sick move. You go
That's the oldest trick in the business.
there. It
You get
is
a strong opener, and then they hopefully stay for the headliner.
business 101 right there. Music business. A little inside baseball for you.
And drink some grapefruit.
And drink some grapefruit juice as well. Yes, crucial. But
Yeah.
I mean, but all this is discussed in Jonathan's book. If you want to go pick it up, Amazon bestseller. He just released it, so, and we'll link that below. Yeah,
Wait, what?
yeah. Jonathan's new book. You know about it, right, Jared?
My
Yeah.
twin brother?
Yes. Your brother's
Okay,
book.
yeah.
Yeah. The
Music business
secrets to
101.
business. Yeah.
The
Secrets to music
secrets to
business.
business. The secrets to the world's businesses.
That's what it was.
That's
Yeah,
what
and
it's called.
that'll.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't even know if copies are around anymore. It's very. I mean, it's sold out quick. So yeah, if you want more tricks of the trade like that, go check that book out.
Yep.
Do you remember how you felt after that first concert, that first show of like your own music, your solo stuff?
Yeah, felt pretty good. Nothing too existential, I don't think. It's still working on the songs. It's like you're not good at playing the music yet at the first show.
Yeah, and finding the formation of it, I bet still.
Yeah, the true magic happens when, number one, there's people at your show, and number two, you can play really, you can play the music the way you want to play it. But yeah, no, it was a special moment. It felt like I was, it was cool. It felt like a lot of hard work, a lot of grinding, and it felt like I was investing for the future. That's how it felt.
It's paying off.
The world is one big
now.
transaction, Jacob. The world is one big transaction. You just got to be a part of it.
That's right.
There's
I like
givers
that.
and there's takers.
Are you genuinely a giver or genuinely a taker, Jared?
As any normal human is, I'm both. It feels good to give, and to other people who give, they want you to take. So
that's right.
Poetic, isn't it?
I like that. I did like that. I can't lie to you, Jared. You know that.
There is a beautiful article on in Psychology Today about accepting kindness, and it's not to go into the reasons why, but it's very trippy that someone doesn't want to accept kindness. No, you don't need to hold the door open for me. No, go ahead. I'm not going to cross the crosswalk while you're waiting for me. When that person applied their brakes and wanted to stop for this person to do the crosswalks, and this person's like, no, I'm not going to accept your kindness. Go ahead. Or like, someone goes to open the door. Oh no, I'm okay.
Right.
So it's an article describing that. It's like some people don't want to take, and that's actually not a good thing.
So you got to take in order to be the best person you could be.
Yeah, you got to fill yourself up too. Fill up your cup as well.
Mm-hmm. That's
if you never filled up your cup, you'd live in a world full of enablers.
Yeah,
you have to let them give too.
Yeah, it's a give and take, literally.
Yeah,
ebb and flow.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Did that the first kind of feeling of that show at the rickshaw? Did that feel reminiscent of the first Mattson 2 show, or did it feel different?
It felt way different because the Mattson 2 shows were geared towards the surf community, and were mainly under the advice and supervision of Mr. Thomas Campbell at his art shows. So there's always people there. There's always buzzing. There's always crazy surfers and skaters, and like we were just playing these random parties, and then we progressed from there. So it was way different. Those parties took a long time for us to get actually into a ticketed venue. which is cool about that is like maybe there wasn't as many people at my show as the party, but I'm already in like a proper ticketed venue with a lot of bandwidth and a good sound system. So pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
great.
it was way different. It was way different. It was already like proper
Right.
by the time Jared Mattson showed up. Mattson 2 cut their teeth playing on dirt floors.
How long have you been making music for now, Jared, roughly?
Well, if you include the Randy Rhoads solos I learned in high school,
Sure.
I'd say 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah, older than you probably.
Dode, younger than me. I just
Okay,
I
sick.
hit my 50th last year, so yeah.
You're 50th.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you a vampire?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It's kind of like a dinner with the what's that called? Dinner with Dracula or some shit.
Oh,
What's it
Interview
called?
with the Vampire.
There it is. Yeah.
Interview,
My
but
dinner
dinner
with
sounds better. I want to
my
see
dinner
dinner
with
with the
Andre
vampire.
the vampire. That's what I'm
Okay.
that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Yeah.
Is My Dinner with Andre? Is that the one with the dude from Princess Bride?
Yeah.
Wow, that movie is boring.
Yeah. It's really
It's a
fucking boring.
really, really boring movie, but it's a cool concept.
Yeah,
It's just
it
a real
is.
time conversation for about an hour and a half, right, or something.
Yeah. Well, there's like the little interlude of like him like walking to the restaurant. It's like, oh, I was dreading this meeting, and then yeah, it's a whole
I
fucking.
can't believe you just name dropped that movie. That movie is so awesome.
Go check it out if you haven't seen it. To the folks at home.
Imagine seeing a whole movie of inconceivable. You get to see that guy talk for a whole. That's an awesome movie. You get to see that dude talk for like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
That's pretty rad.
yeah. With
And
Andre.
he'd only drink with Andre. And which one's Andre?
Oh, I can't remember the
Okay, we'll
fella's
figure
name.
that out. We
Well,
don't need
yeah.
to waste
Well,
our time on
can
that.
we check that? All right, we're looked at the producers. We're checking it out. We're figuring it out.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I always
Yeah,
remembered that he drank club soda in that movie with a lime. And then like I noticed in a lot of Seinfeld, like Jerry never drinks. He barely ever drinks. He'll drink like wine or beer sometimes, but I kind of like that he's not really a drinker. And it kind of inspires me when I don't want to drink. Like, yeah, dinner with Andre, Jerry Seinfeld, I'll have a club soda.
The elites of film and television show, the pinnacles. Yeah.
Exactly. They live a meaningful life, had a meaningful evening without booze.
Right. And then people say the show's about nothing. It's like, yeah, you're not seeing it. It's
They're
about
messaging.
everything. Yeah. Yeah, he drank a lot of coffee on that set. This is why I heard he drank a lot of coffee on that set, but he never really drinks coffee in person. But he also has that other show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. So
Now he loves coffee, probably.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Jerry. But I mean, heck, Jerry, if you're listening, man, let us know because we're curious. We're just curious.
He's hanging in there.
We love to get a cup of coffee with you. If you're around, Jared and I are around too.
He actually directed a movie, a feature film.
Really?
And it involved a Pop-Tart. Like the history of the Pop-Tart of some sort. I'm dead serious. It sounds like the most boring movie in the world. It's literally
my
a story
dinner with
about
Andre,
the way the Pop-Tart started.
and then the Pop-Tart movie. That's that's a list. What do you want people to take away from the music that you are making?
I don't know. They do their own thing with it, but yeah, I just hope a lot of people like it, and I hope it like is something that they've been. I hope it's a itch that they haven't been able to scratch. I hope it's something new and also familiar at the same time, and I hope that the work that I put into it will return with people going to the shows because they like the record.
Definitely, that's awesome. Yeah, folks, we're doing a short one this week, but every minute counts on this one. And Jared, you're amazing. But before we go here, I got some promo to do. So,
great.
Jared Mattson's Peanut is out now. It's streaming everywhere, wherever you get your music. That's where you could find it. And there's some great videos for Burn Down Babylon, and the other one,
Please come here.
Please Come Here. I knew that. I was testing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, both out on YouTube right now. Super stellar videos, both of them, in great songs. And the album is out through Company Records, and you could buy the album through companyrecords.bandcamp.com or through carpartrecords.com. And I can't stress that enough. It's a great album. And yeah, everybody can stay up to date with like news and tours and shows and all that fun stuff by following you on Instagram, right? Is that the best place?
Yeah, IG, dude.
Sick. And that's at Jared Mattson Music, no underscores. The Mattson 2's music streaming everywhere, wherever the people get it. Their music, that's where they could find it. And companyrex.bandcamp.com, that's where people could find the vinyls and stuff, right? Or some of the vinyls.
Yeah, just mattson2.com too.
Mattson2.com. And is the Instagram the best place to keep up to date with everything going on there too?
I think so. IG's king.
And that's the Mattson 2, and that's the number 2, not spelled any different, just the number 2, the Mattson 2 on Instagram.
Mattson. I do want to say that I have 22 shows for this tour coming up, all across America.
Boy.
And across 3 dates in Canada.
So after May-ish, where are you gonna be, do you think? Around that month.
Where do I go? I go over to Chicago and do the Midwest, and then New York down, and then over to Texas, and in Arizona.
Wow.
So I just wanted to say that so people know. Yeah, he's from Phoenix.
There you go.
Yeah, no. So I just want people to know that I have shows coming up, and then they can just look on my IG on tomorrow. I'm going to announce it on tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
So Jared is on the road right now as we're recording this. So, or as this is out right now. Not when we're recording this, but yeah. So Chicago-ish area, Midwest. If you're in that region, or if you want to just fly in and have a nice night, take a friend, take a wife, take a son, take a daughter, husband, whoever, grandparents.
If you're taking them, just make sure they're yours.
Do we miss anything, Jared, to plug?
No, just thanks for having me on, and hope you have a wonderful day.
Jared, you as well. Thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, Peanut out now. Go get it. Tremendous.
Thanks,
Jared, you're awesome.
Vineyard.
The Vineyard podcast #1. That's it. Everyone's favorite podcast. Everybody knows that, though. That's just common knowledge. You know how that goes.
Epic.
Jared, you're awesome. I'm going to stop recording this. I'll talk to you in a minute. All right.
All right. Ciao.
Thank you, brother.